Jared, welcome to the Six Figure Cleaner podcast, man. It is great to finally have you on. I know I've been talking to you forever about doing this. I don't know if anybody else, procrastinates like I've tended to do of this. But man, I saw you on the Swept homepage years back, and just seeing your face and hearing your story back then gave me a lot of hope that, hey, I could do this. Like I can build this thing, because I've seen Jared's do it. He's using some of the same tools, some of the same clients. So welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Josh. It's good to be here.
All right, so let's dive right in. We're talking about commercial cleaning and making six figures of personal owner benefit as a commercial cleaning business owner. But commercial cleaning, man, is like it runs the gauntlet. There's so many things that you can do. So I want to talk about some of the specifics of your company and the way you guys do things first. So tell us about your ideal client. What was it when you got started, and what does it look like now?
Yeah, when we got started, it was literally anyone that wanted to take us on from a commercial cleaning perspective. So we actually started, it was two coffee shops. I had one, my partner had the other, and we were cleaning it ourselves. And then our next was this old condo that was in horrible condition, and we took that on. And so we were wide open, right? And we took on a lot of restaurants, because that was my background, was the restaurant industry. So we had, I think at one point, like 30 restaurants or so going. Yeah, but talk about ideal customer. We have 0 restaurants today, and that was that was intentional. The hours are tough, and the expectations, and we're working with oil and all that kind of stuff. It was a challenging client. Not to say it's not a good business to be in, but for us, we decided it's not where we wanted to be. So today, really our ideal customer is a larger facility, anywhere from 100 to 300 or more 1,000 square feet, you needing day porter and evening services. That's really where who we want to target and grow into. We don't have a lot of that right now. We have a small portfolio of that, but we want to absolutely grow that area.
All right. So what is it about that when you're looking at your business? It's grown over the years. No restaurants now, which I think is funny too. By the way, I spoke at the Cleaning and Cocktails event earlier this year. I asked that question. I was like, hey, does anybody want to pick up restaurants? And it was like tumbleweed blowing through, man. There's complete silence. Nobody wants restaurants. It's funny. Yeah. But what made you want to go after these bigger accounts where you're providing labor day and night, it sounds like? And again, 100,000, 300,000 square feet. Those are big facilities. What is it that's attractive to you about those types of properties?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we have about 224 clients, but their average revenue is about 1,500 a month or so. So the challenge with that is the amount of overhead and management required, because they're all separate, individual places. They all have their own equipment that we have to maintain. So there's just a lot of management that needs to go into it. Not to say we love all of them, and we certainly don't. We're happy to have every client that we have. But as we grow, we want to move into those larger ones, because it requires less overhead from a management perspective and operational perspective. It's just much more efficient, where you can have 5 custodians on one location versus 5 custodians driving all over the city maintaining smaller locations. We've kind of broken into that market. Like I said, we have a little bit of it, and we really like it, and we've gotten a taste for what it looks like. So we want to continue to grow in there.
All right, so great question. I mean, as far as going into that I have for you, because again, it's too, like, people, when it comes to it, once you start scaling into 7 figures of revenue and you're starting to build off of that, the temptation definitely is, and people would tell you, like, hey, you need to go after more square footage, so your profit margin is going to get squeezed, but you're making more profit, per manager, and all the things that go into it. Definitely, and same thing for us. We're management heavy, because our business model is probably very similar to how yours has been. Our average client, we got people managing 30 properties, right? And I can definitely see that. So as far as in when you're going into that, so going from $1,500 as your average client, and now looking at what is your average client going to look like at 100,000 square foot? And I know there's going to be a variation, but what is it that you're going after there? Because I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit higher than 1,500 a month.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I would put it more between that 10 to 30,000 a month versus a 1,500 a month. Yeah, I mean, there's so many variables involved there, but it's certainly it really depends on the type of site, but yeah, you're probably looking at like that 15,000, 10 to 20,000 or 30,000 a
Yeah, I
month.
love that it goes to that too, man, because people are starting out, they're thinking like $1,500 a month, a great client. And then
Right,
you're moving on, you're like, well, I want 10 to 30,000 a month.
right,
People are like, man, I just want 30,000 a month. Like, I'd love to have
right.
30,000 a month billing, right? But when you're leveling up, it changes for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, in that being said, too, what was your ideal team member or ideal employee looking like in the early days? And how has that shifted? Are you hiring the same type of person or demographic now as you were then?
Yeah, pretty close, I would say. Honestly, I don't think that's changed much. We've always looked for that same type of person, and really, it's someone that's passionate about what they're doing, that truly cares, because our industry is not rocket science. You don't really have to be well educated or extremely talented at a certain thing or experienced in a certain thing. But you really do have to care, right? You have to truly love what you do. You have to have passion for life, zeal for life, a positive attitude. And so that's kind of the frame that we're looking for, those people that generally are, match the way we, see life in the world. So that's always been the same. I mean, there's more criteria when you get down to the nitty-gritty, like geographically speaking, where they live, and
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. But really, when it comes to just personality, we're looking for people that really love what they're doing and care about what they're doing, and it's not really about the money. If we see that they're negotiating right away, that's a quick turn off, and we usually just move on, because we want people that are not doing it just for the money, although the money obviously is important for their life and to help them achieve their dreams, but that are doing it for something greater than that. And so yeah, that's always been the case.
And I'm going to link to some of the other podcasts you've been on, that because I know you get into your story a little bit more for some of the reasons why you started. And your story, to some degree, reminds me of Ricky Regalato's in this one thing. So Ricky has gone on to serve in this industry, and he's really like got a heart for his
Yeah,
dad and those that resemble his dad, who's just worked as a really high character blue collar guy his
yeah,
whole life. And if I'm right on your story, it was your wife's dad who
yeah,
came to the U.S. or came
yeah,
to North America at least and began working as a janitor. And
yeah,
is somewhat your motivation, is being able to provide opportunities for that
yeah.
type of person, hardworking, not just after the money, but wanting to provide for their family?
That's exactly it. No, you nailed it. The same reason that we're looking for people that aren't thinking about just the money. We started this business for not just about the money. That's exactly it. Like we saw an opportunity to build a community of people that maybe otherwise are generally not as respected in their work environments. We could find these people that are going to be loyal to us for life, and we'll be loyal to them for life, and help them achieve their dreams, right? And our inspiration for this business was not as much about, hey, there's a business opportunity. It was more about, there's an opportunity to help good people, right? And that the foundation of that is truly, I think, why we're successful today.
Oh yeah, man. Because I mean, there's a lot of businesses you could be in, but when you can find that reason behind it, right? Like you get this
Yeah,
compelling why that pushes you through the hard times. Because I
yeah.
would just guess, Jared, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my assumption is that at certain times in the cleaning company journey, like things have sucked and things have been really hard.
Oh yeah,
But having
absolutely.
that store, that person that you're trying to serve, man, it can push you through those, because it's like, well, I got to go out, and not that you're the hero, right? But like, no, I'm going to go create opportunities because I got some people that I want to help serve and help make their
Yeah,
lives
yeah,
better.
yeah. Yeah. It gives you real purpose, right? You need that purpose to drive you. If you don't have that purpose, then you're lacking direction. And it's been inside myself, my partner, and now our managers and everyone all the way through. And it really drives our business and keeps us going every day. And you're absolutely right. There's been some horrible, tough moments. I'm going through one today. Almost had to cancel this podcast, but there's no way I could, because I wanted to speak to you. But we're having a tough day today. And anyways, I won't get into it, but it all, you can sleep well at night knowing what we're achieving in the big picture of things. That's for sure.
Yeah, hey, and
So
that's a great point, too, man. I'm glad you shared that. Thanks for being vulnerable to share that. Today is a
yeah,
tough day, because when you're early starting out, there's gonna be lots of tough days. But when you're doing multiple millions a year, there's still gonna be tough days. Like tough
yeah,
days do not like suddenly disappear once you hit a certain revenue number. So
Definitely
two
not.
other quick questions for you on this. As far as for you guys, like what kind of revenue category are you in right now in your business? I think you mentioned you had about 225 clients or so. What's the revenue category you guys find yourselves in now? And then what are you shooting for here in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so we're right around that 4 million mark right now in yearly revenue, and our big strategic growth goal is to get to 12 million in the next 5 years. So that's a 300% growth rate. And we don't believe that we'll, as much as I'd like to believe, but I don't think we'll do it through natural growth. But we're now looking at acquisitions as the next step to get us there.
Well, and I'm sure too, if you define that goal, then so it's also the clients that you're trying to attract, and it seems like that might have shifted too to help you get toward that goal, because you got to pick up a lot of $1,500 a month accounts to go to 12 million, but probably
That's
not
right.
as many, obviously, if you've got 30 grand a month coming in from each client.
Yeah.
All right, this is kind of rapid fire, but just there's always questions around this, especially as companies scale. But what types of software systems are you guys using to grow your company and to scale it?
Yeah, we use quite a few, and I swear by all of them. And so, as you mentioned, you saw me on the cover of the Swept website at one point. They got to get me back on there. It was, but yeah, I think I'm somewhere on the page somewhere still. But so yeah, we use Swept. We were their 8th customer ever.
Whoa.
So, yeah, and I'm guessing, I haven't asked Michael Brown there, but I'm guessing we're their oldest client. But yeah, so yeah, it's been really helpful just for a couple things. Ordering supplies, so having one central hub to put supplies through has been very helpful. Because before, someone would text, someone would email, someone would call, and they would use different language for the supplies. So now we have one language, one place. Very, very good. And then the other thing we use it for heavily is for inspections. So our managers are constantly going out and checking the sites, doing good inspections through Swept, and catching the issues before the customers do. So that's Swept. For bidding, we use CleanGrew, and that's been a really useful tool in the sense that we can hire a sales manager that doesn't have cleaning experience, and put them into this software and have them using it, and they can actually quote on janitorial bids without having a lot of industry experience. Of course, it requires some training and guidance, but once they're the getting up and get them going is much quicker than prior when we just use Excel spreadsheets. So and then what else do we use? We have HubSpot is another one for our CRM. That's been a really powerful tool. We've been using it for about 2 years now, and have found it very, very useful to manage our clients, our leads that come in, and whatnot. A neat one. I don't know if I should share this. This is kind of a new one that I'm excited about, but I think we're the only ones that do it in the industry. But it's called Time to Reply, and it actually measures response time for us internally, because one of our core values, our core philosophies is to respond really, really quick, right? And that's incredibly important. So we've implemented this. I thought there must be something out there, and my partner did some research, and we found this Time to Reply. And basically all of our managers, including myself and my partner and our sales managers and everyone, get measured on their response times now. So now you got our managers.
Like, I would get fired so fast, Jared, if we installed that in our company. Like, I would get replaced so quickly. So quickly, I'd be done.
You mean people wouldn't like it?
They would. Oh, and I'm just saying, for me, no, me personally, like I wouldn't measure up. I'd be like, hey, your way to slow response.
I see. Okay, yeah. No, we're obsessed with quick responses. So that it's really important for the customer to experience that. But and surprisingly, our staff have taken a real liking to it, because we've always talked about that as an important thing, but now we have a metric, to measure it. So what else? I mean, there's a few others, but I think those are the ones that kind of come to the forefront of my mind. So
yeah, awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. All right, so again, I'm going to link to some podcast episodes. You've been on several cleaning podcasts. I know you've been on Profitable Cleaner. I love those guys over there. I know you've been on Cleaning Cocktails. I know you do all AJ Simmons and Clean Biz Network. So we'll link to those in the show notes, and I know they can get a lot of your story there. But I want to ask you some questions that are kind of specific to the 6-figure part of your story. So with getting started up, you did what was, I think, brilliant, by the way. Understand, no restaurants now, but you knew the restaurant industry. And so that was like low hanging fruit for you to go in and get those clients to get started. I call it the rule of 15. I'm like, hey, when you're getting started, you'll take some clients for 15 hours. You'll get some for 15 months, and you'll realize somewhere along the way who your 15-year clients are, and you start building systems around the ones that you want to keep long
Totally.
term. So you figured out how to make that 15-month client with restaurants, and then scaled out at some point to your 15-year clients now with the more professional spaces, it sounds like, and also some of these large. I think I've heard you say before you were doing some dentist offices, you were doing some condo associations or apartment kind of associations, things like that. But figuring out who your client was. I got some questions for you again on the 6-figure owner benefit part of this. How long have you guys been in business at this point?
When we hit 6 figures, or right
I know
now?
how long now since
Now,
you and your partner started?
yeah. So we've been. It's almost 13. It'll be 13 years in June.
Okay, 13 years. So 13 years. Your company's been at 13 years. You're around 4 million. How long before you got to the point where you were able to make 6-figure of owner benefit personally?
Yeah. I would say, truthfully, I don't remember the exact point, but it was. I would guess that it was around between year 4 and 5 that we hit it. And that's because we got our largest client in that year, and to this day they're still our largest client. So I still have them today. Yeah, it was right around that time, between year 4 and 5.
So one client kind of took you over the edge from a revenue
They did.
standpoint. That's awesome. All right. So tell us a little bit about that. So did you have any other clients like that when you got this one? Or was it just you were just swinging for the fences and you landed it?
Yeah, I mean, we were doing pretty good. Like we were, growing here and there, but had some steady growth, and we were certainly on track. But this one client really definitely put us, over the top. It's a daycare company. And we were cleaning one of their daycares. Real quick, I'll make the story short, but there was a flood in their daycare, and our custodian called us in a panic. There's a flood, and so myself and my business partner Aaron, we both drove down there. And my business partner made this makeshift pump and started pumping the water out of the basement. And I was meanwhile on my phone emailing and texting everyone I could think of at the company at head office and trying to get a hold of these guys. And sure enough, we got a hold of the facility manager, and he actually happened to be in the area, came down, and was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, he couldn't believe what we were doing, and because Aaron had the water coming out of the basement, and he's like MacGyver. And so that he was so impressed, and they happened to have, at that time, I think it was like 25 locations. Now we have 33 of their locations. And it's a long story, but he ended up, meeting me for lunch and saying, I want to give you all these locations. We're just so impressed with what you guys are doing. Long story, really long story, but he was actually terminally ill. And he wanted to do something. And one of the things he wanted to do before he passed away was get us this contract, which was unbelievable. And now his son, who was with him that day, because he was driving around at the flood in the basement, still works for us to this day. He's been with us for 8 years now. It's a wild story. It's a wild story, but that's who really got us to the next level. So they gave us all their daycares after, back and forth, figuring out the contract and that sort of thing.
So let me ask you about this. Sorry, by the way, let me say this too, as you're saying that. You and your business partner didn't go there and start trying to be MacGyver and figure this thing out because you thought, oh, we may land 25 of these things. Like, you just went because you had a heart to serve, and because the character, your character, and the character of your business required that you go do what you did.
That's right.
You got blessed for it, right? But I think that's such an amazing thing. It's not like you were like, oh man, I've been waiting for this flood to happen. Let's get down there and figure it out because we can grow sales and revenue. It's like, no, you just served. And whatever, as luck would have it, quote unquote. You were able to obtain this way more clients. Where were you guys at that point? So if you remember, like, kind of revenue or how many clients you had then?
Yeah, I don't remember how many clients. That I can tell you. What I can tell you is they put us over 1 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how quickly did you go from that 1 to getting like the 25?
We started all so that one we had for maybe a year, maybe even 2 years.
Okay.
Before that happened. And then once we started the rest of them all in one night, which is a story in itself. In one night, and they gave us all the wrong alarm codes. So at like 6:30 p.m. my phone just exploded because every location's alarm started going off at once. So that was quite that. We shut it down and started the next night. But anyways, yeah. So it was we put in the work with that one location for probably a year to 2 years. But then after that is, once we got all the rest of them, we started them all in one night,
Wow.
which was quite the undertaking. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a whole episode just on that. That's amazing.
Totally.
That's crazy too. Would you do it that way again?
Take them all at once, start them
All
all
in
at
one
once.
night. That's yeah. That's
Oh yeah. Oh, we did it
love
again.
it.
Actually, they closed down. They closed down for during COVID, and then we actually lost them for like 2 years. They were gone, and we thought they weren't coming back, and then they did come back, but this time they added a bunch of. So now they had 33. So we had to start all 33 locations again in one night. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah. But no, I love that. Those are the moments I live for. Yeah, like it's like going to war, right? It's like you're on a mission, you're
Yeah.
focused, adrenaline's running, everyone's pumped up. No, I love those moments. My partner, I drive him crazy because he's like, "You're nuts, man! Like, what are you doing?" Like, but I'm like, "We'll do it. Don't worry. Like, we'll take care of
Yeah.
it."
It's like doing one of those like Spartan races or something, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be like crazy intense and we're gonna be sore, but we'll make it. And on the other
yeah,
side, we'll have a
that's
drink, we'll
right.
celebrate, and we'll be
Yeah,
sore later, but like we
totally.
will have done it and we will be proud
Nailed
of
it.
we've done it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's cool. So you guys were able to hit then that six figure of personal honor benefit as you were getting to that $1 million range. That's when it was
Yeah.
really
Yeah, it
game
was around
changing.
there. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, man. I love that. All right. This is my favorite part of this, Jared, because this is, I mean, gosh, there's just so many. And later on, you'll think about one and you'll like want to redo this podcast episode. But six-figure screw ups, man. This
Yeah.
is like, not to say it was a screw up that cost you 100 grand, but just in that journey to become a six-figure cleaner, what are
Yeah.
some of the mistakes that you made, or just maybe even some goofy things that happened in your company that you're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is gonna be one of those questions that in like tomorrow night, I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night, like I should have said that, Like it is a hard one. I One of the things that probably the most expensive mistake that we've ever made, and I still don't even know if this is a mistake. Truthfully, I don't have very many regrets in what we've done. I'll be honest with you. But I think one of the hardest things we went through was we were trying to make an acquisition, and they were in a different city, and we were so new to the concept of acquisition, and we still are, but that we went through a pretty hard education. We spent like a lot of money and on lawyers and financial advice and that sort of thing, like a lot of money, more than I can't believe. I wish that was in my pocket right now. But we could have gone a lot further into the process before we spent. And so, not that bless the advisors, they're brilliant, amazing people, and they weren't bad or anything. And but I think we went to the professionals too soon, where we could have really got to a certain point. So that's the only one I can really think of. I don't know if it's not a one that maybe your listeners will resonate with, but yeah, that was probably our biggest mistake.
Listen, man, I think it's really timely you say that. There is somebody that I've coached a lot of other commercial cleaning company owners, and that was one of the questions I got recently was, there was an opportunity for acquisition, and that was ultimately one of the things I said is like, well, look, you want to vet it as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's see if there's an opportunity, because it's so easy to get like just big, kind of you're just so excited. You're starting to move in and
Yeah.
you do spend a lot of money, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's not the opportunity that you need right now for a
Yeah.
variety of reasons.
That's
And
right.
so I love that advice. I think that's good. You guys are way better than us. We do things like lock dogs in people's offices and stuff like that. Forget the key.
Oh, I mean, if you want those kind of mistakes, I can give you many of those. Oh, sure. Yeah. We got
No, it's
lots of
just
those.
it's funny, is on the journey to grow in anything. There are going to be some things. There's going to be mistakes that you make that are dumb mistakes. There's going to be mistakes that you made that they weren't dumb. They just still come back. You're like, oh man, that was kind of painful. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that one with us. All right, this is also a good part. So six-figure secrets. If you've built a business, a cleaning business is a very easy business to start, and it's easy, I think, to grow to like a certain level. But once you really have to start scaling and bringing on other leaders underneath you, and it's not just you managing everything, like it gets really difficult to scale a business like this. at that point, which is why overwhelmingly most cleaning companies never get to $1 million of revenue. The overwhelming majority never make it that far. But what lessons did you learn along the way that you feel like these are some key lessons that really helped you learn to leverage your business to the point where you're making six figures personally from it?
Yeah, I mean, no question that your people are so important, right? Like I think I see a lot of cleaning companies out there that just don't get it, and they're struggling, but they don't get the people side, how critical it is to take care of their people. So if I can advise anything, it's like you put them before your clients, it's not customer first, it's your people first in our industry. It has to be. So that's one. Communication is incredibly important, which is why we put in, that software time to reply, and quick response, but also, sincere and passionate response, like, solve the problem no matter what. When I used to work at the restaurant industry, they taught me that, because if the customer wasn't happy with their meal, I was at a really good restaurant chain, and they would say, no, don't get them a dessert. Take care of the meal, right? Like, so take care of the problem. And so, if we screw up or anything, we don't charge them for that. We take it off the bill. We'll do whatever we can to fix it. And if that means losing money, that means losing money. And so it's making those short-term painful decisions that in the long term is going to build your reputation and get that 5-star Google review down the road. And sometimes we do that. If we fix it, we'll say, hey, can you give us a Google review for that? And that's okay to ask for, because they're so impressed with how we've handled it. And those small things pay off tremendously.
Man, I love that. So I want to ask you a follow-up question to that, because I would 100% agree with both of the things that you said. Like, our mission statement for my company is like, we go above and beyond to serve people. It's like,
amazing.
And it's, from a vision standpoint, we say, hey, we're respected by our clients because that's what we're seeking to be. We want to earn their respect. But for our team members, we say we're appreciated by our team members because we want to do what we can do to make them feel appreciated. It's easy to appreciate someone that makes you feel appreciated, right? So, but we want to show them appreciation so much that they like appreciate us in return. But what are some ways that your company, like, what are some ways that you focus on making your people feel appreciated or serving them first, that you've been able to, I say systemize, but what I'm saying, keep within your culture consistently?
There's quite a few, and it's not a one thing, two thing, three thing. I mean, it's a daily thing, right? It's just how we treat our people on a daily basis, how we communicate with them. It's truly from a position of respect, right? And really love, like we love, like, it's family. But if you want some macro things, some big stuff that we do, like every summer we do an awesome summer barbecue where we have everyone out, do face painting for the kids. Last year we brought in live music, an awesome Mexican band, and we got a Mexican food truck, kind of made it a Spanish theme, and did a bunch of recognition of people and that sort of thing, and prizes and draws. And so that's really fun. And then our Christmas party at Christmas time, we take everyone out to a really nice steakhouse. We rented out the whole restaurant this year. We had enough people to justify it. And again, like, just steak dinner, dessert, open bar, and then speeches and that sort of thing, and huge prizes as well for those who hit 5 years, and then those who have hit 10 years with us all got some pretty big prizes. So those are just kind of some big things. The next thing, though, that from a kind of a macro perspective, is our volunteering. That is such a win-win situation for us, because you have people on your team that are like, you have people that want to give back to their community and they might not know how. And so we go, do like Feed the Hungry, we call it the drop-in center here, or the Mustard Seed. We have a few different organizations here that allow us to come in, and sometimes we make the food, sometimes we serve it, sometimes we do both. But bringing those people with us, and we do a bunch of stuff like that, not just those, but doing those events are really powerful for our team. It builds such an amazing culture because they feel a part of something special and part of something with purpose. And so those things have been incredible. And then it's the day to day, right? It's just always paying people on time, the givens, right? Those are just
Yeah.
the tickets, like paying people on time and giving people time off whenever they ask for it. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be in business. If you say no to someone for needing time off, you're doing something wrong. So always, paying people on time, giving people time off when they need it, you have to be able to do that. So build whatever, if you don't have a system for it, build a system for those things. Yeah, I mean, I could keep going, but we only got
No,
so much
that's
time.
awesome, man. I mean, and what I've always loved, because on your LinkedIn, you'll post, about your company, the events and stuff that you guys do. And
Yeah,
I'm always looking at it. And number one, there's a bunch of people. I'm like, well, there's a lot of people
yeah,
in this picture. But it is cool to see the different things that you're doing to recognize your folks. Because in our industry, people are oftentimes looked down upon, and they're sure as heck not recognized, for their achievements and stuff. And I see that you're such a good leader in our industry in regards to like how you treat your people. And I
thank you.
appreciate the fact that, sometimes we can be like, well, I don't really talk about how we're treating how we're showing the appreciation. I'm like, no, I love that you're doing that, because you're not doing it from the standpoint of being like, hey, look what we're doing. You're still just recognizing your people with how you show it. And you're setting an example in the industry for what other companies can do. And you guys, at your size, you're bigger than most cleaning companies. You're right. You're probably top 90 or top 1%. There's probably 99% of cleaning companies that are smaller than you guys. And you're showing some things like, hey, here's how you get here. Like, you don't make it and then appreciate your people. Think how you appreciate your people along the way. Like, invest in your people, serve your people.
Totally.
If you serve them, you'll end up building a culture of people that are kind of loyal, because you make them feel appreciated and like they're worth something, right? They get value. So I love how you set the example for that, man. I really appreciate how you do that in the industry.
Thank you.
All right, last section here, and this is one of my favorite parts. Is what I call 6-figure strategies. So you've been in business for 13 years now doing this. You've learned a ton. And the question is, if you were starting over today from scratch, you're going to start a brand new commercial cleaning business, and you wanted to get the 6 figures fast for yourself. And again, if they're making 100,000 plus for your family, and so you can focus on doing the things that you guys want to do, what would you focus on? How would you do things differently?
Yeah, it's a really hard question, because I think we've done it right. Like I'm just so confident in how we've approached it, in the sense that, we started cleaning ourselves. We hired our first, cleaner after months of doing it ourselves and getting familiar with it. So I don't regret any of that. I think you have to do that, right? I also don't
do
regret.
it yourself. So get started in, like, because I hear some people like, hire a cleaner, or never do cleaning yourself. There's all these people selling courses right now that's like, never do the cleaning yourself, just hire from the start. And I'm always like, how do you know what to tell them what to do?
Yeah.
So you're like, get started yourself. Go clean the first account.
Yep, absolutely. Get your hands dirty 100%. Like, you have to. And I think you'll talk, most of the successful people will tell you that they did, I think the people that take that, your approach, the opposite, I don't know if they're good. I mean, I don't know. I don't see them being successful, but you never know. I guess you never know. But I would say, yeah. So if we could do it, if we could speed things up, that's what I'm trying to think about right now. I mean, I don't know what I would do. I mean, because we've worked day and night, right? Like in the first few years, we were cleaning all night, working all day, cold calling, hitting the phones. We were going as fast as we possibly could, like what's it, pedal to the metal, right? Whatever that expression is. So how would I speed up? I don't know how we could have gone faster, or what we could have done different. I may have invested in administration a little earlier, because we were wasting a lot of time doing payroll, invoicing, and all that stuff. That's the first position we really got on our team, and then a sales position too, kind of right in conjunction with that. But administration, there's ways that you can get that off your plate right away. And I think a lot of small business owners don't even know their options. Like, we have a local lady, but then we also have an assistant in the Philippines that does it, and she's amazing, and it's very, very doable. So like, I would say, like, we could have probably gone a year earlier with that. And software. Once we implemented that software, it was that's what took us to the next level, when we really put all those things in, because it forced us to have systems. And the one other thing I would say is, if we knew our vision and if we defined our vision and purpose more from the beginning, I think we would have grown faster. We had it, like I wrote a business plan, but it was very vague, right? But if we could have like defined it better and really knew, then I think we could have, I think we could have grown faster.
All right, I got a follow-up question for you on that because
Yeah,
man, in 2000, I was in business for over 10 years before I
yeah,
really got clear on my mission and vision. Now, I wasn't all in on the business like you guys were. I wasn't like 100% full-time only in that, which I love, by the way, with your story. You're like, no, we just quit our jobs and went all in, man. And you and your
right.
partner, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So I don't know if I could have really written down the core values and the mission and vision that I have now that amplifies like through everything that we do. I mean, we talk about our mission and vision all
yeah,
the time. Every single day, we're like, we go above and beyond to serve people. Are we going above and beyond right now?
yeah.
I don't know if I could have had that from the start. So do you think you could have
Right.
actually had more clarity right at the beginning, or do you think it was more about kind of like walk a mile, see a mile kind of concept?
Yeah, no, that's very true. No, I don't think we could have. I don't think we could have really understood it. In fact, like we only really redefined our vision and purpose and mission. I was just in a university program for our business, and we just defined it. Redefined it, I should say. Since like 13 years ago when I first started the business. So yeah, no, you're probably right. You probably couldn't have. We probably could have 5 years ago though, and we
Yeah.
still didn't, right? And so I think like this university program was forced us to really step out and really work on the business, and that if you can do that like from an academic perspective, that's what I probably would have done different is put more academics into the business from the onset instead of just kind of this grueling, crazy like wild west, like getting contracts running around with our heads cut off, and
Yeah.
which I mean it's probably part of business. It's probably hard to avoid, but I do wish that we had more of an academic approach from earlier on. That would have helped. Probably let us probably sleep a little more. That's probably the one thing it would have done. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I don't know if I would build the business the same way over again. Like for us, I'm like, oh my gosh, we paid such a price sometimes that we didn't have to pay just because we were dumb. Like we just
yeah,
did something stupid.
yeah,
Or honestly, Jared, we were probably just like I probably knew some of the decisions to make, like what you said, like hiring administrative staff to do certain things, and just
yeah,
didn't because I was afraid
yeah,
or
right.
lack of competence, scared of the losing money or being, like it just. I think a lot of the right decisions are out there, but you got to overcome the fear to get to them.
Yeah, I'll tell you, every time we invested in a management position, it's paid off every single time. Whenever we invest in a position, it might not be the right person. Like, sometimes it
Yep.
takes us a few tries,
Yep.
but when we do invest in that position, it pays itself off. And because we're hiring people that are better than, us, like myself and my partner at that position, like administration, like what we were doing in 10 hours, our current, like she's been with us for 8 years, no, yeah, 8 years now, she does in like an hour, like
Yeah.
way more efficient. So you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, make those moves. I highly recommend it. Get the experts around you, and you can do it at a fairly reasonable price these days. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
some of the things that you and I suck at doing and like don't
yeah,
like doing it and we're not good at it. Someone else is good at it and they like doing it. They're like, oh, this
totally.
is a job. It's just so amazing. That took me a second to get to. I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't like doing it and I almost felt bad trying to get somebody else to do it because like, this sucks. They're going to hate this. And it's like, no,
right.
they're different than you. They don't
Yeah,
want to do the things that you're good at.
yeah,
They're not good at those
exactly.
things. They hate them.
Yeah.
So I think it's
That
really
list
cool
is
that it
big
works
for
like
me.
that.
Yeah, the things I'm not good at is a big list. It's a
That's
giant
me
list.
too, man. I'm like, I'm really good at like two or three things, and then
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah,
bad at
totally,
everything else. All right,
totally.
one last question for you, Jared. I mean, let me say this to you as well as we're kind of closing out. Man, I really do. I'm not just like I'm not trying to fluff you up. I mean, I really mean it. Like from the start, like I saw you on that Swept homepage, and something about I was like, and I watched a little video, and something about the way you were talking about your business. I was like, hold on a second, this guy's building it in like the way I want to build mine, and
Yeah,
it just helped me out. It gave me belief. It gave me confidence to spend some money, to invest on some things, to invest in
yeah,
even in Swept, and that was a
yeah,
game changer for us. Like that helped us grow. I mean, just ridiculously, getting swept in place. So I appreciate all that you've done just in my journey. I mean, this is the first time we've ever talked, right? Other than
yeah,
like Facebook Messenger or something.
yeah,
But just wanted you to know I appreciate your leadership, the fact that you're willing to share, that you're not just trying to serve your company, you're willing to put it out there and even secrets like time to reply software. You're sharing that secret out with everybody now, and everybody can get better. You're willing to serve not just your community and your group, but the bigger cleaning community, and I appreciate that. So last question for you is, if you got one book you can refer to people to read that's going to help them grow their cleaning company, it doesn't have to be specific to cleaning. You're like, hey, read this book. It'll make a difference for you, and it'll help you scale so you can be the next six-figure cleaner. What would that book be?
Oh man, there's a couple that are competing in my head right now. Yeah, first of all, before I say what book, you have to read. You have to read. And you have no excuse now because there's Audible books too. And you know, if you're on a bus or if you're in a car, wherever, like get those headphones and read. As a business owner, you have to do that. You have to always be growing. I would say the book that I would recommend, especially, I guess it depends on what phase you're at, but if you're just, you know, starting off, or is that who I'm talking to, or am I?
I'd say, yeah, but it's people that are in their six-figure journey. So whether they're just getting started or they're still, you know, trying to get to that spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I would say E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which is, you know, if you type in top business books for small business owners, that usually is number one. And have you read it yourself?
I have. Somebody asked me the other day if I read it. They're like, "Hey, have you ever read the E-Myth?" And I was like, I was almost insulted. I'm like, "Come on, you know, I got a company to run all systems."
Yeah, I actually got a 45-minute private call with Michael Gerber, the author.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so cool, and it was just through a random connection, and we ended up having like a call just like this, but private, for 45 minutes. And that guy is something else. He is special. Yeah, like that. You know, he really, you know, we read that when we first started the business, and he really, you know, his concepts really helped us understand the idea of building systems and working, you know, on the business, not in the business. But building systems, man, like if you don't have a system for something, make a system for something. For everything in the business, have a system. And as boring and mundane as that sounds, you need it to grow. And if you want to start replacing yourself, especially. So yeah, that book, it was really useful for us.
Love it. All right, you guys check out the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. In all seriousness, if you haven't read that book, like, pause this podcast, go get it now on Audible. You can listen to it while you're cleaning if you need to.
Yeah.
But it's a game changer. Same for us. That was a game changer for us with learning that. Also learning how to delegate and be able to live with somebody else not doing it at the same level day one, right? It's like, no, if they can do it close, you're good enough to move on. So Jared, man, I really appreciate you being on the Six Figure Cleaner podcast. We're going to share all your contact info as far as how they can find your company, LinkedIn, all that stuff in the show notes. But again, man, I appreciate you. The example you said in the industry, your leadership, your heart of being a servant, and just everything you're doing. And dude, I can't wait to hear about when you hit 12 million. We're gonna have you back on the show. We're gonna talk about getting to seven-figure, or even the seven-figure cleaner at that point, for sure. So appreciate you, my man. Thanks for being on the Six Figure Cleaner podcast.
Likewise, Josh. Thanks so much. Keep doing what you're doing too, man. You're an amazing guy. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it, Jared.
Yeah.